Welcome everybody to the, almost daily edition of Reiki Shamanic Tips and Stories for Challenging Times. And I'm Rose Sedan, Wild Reiki and Shamanic Healing. I'm a Reiki Master Teacher, Animal Communicator, and Shaman trained in the Peruvian High Andes tradition. So, to date, this would be video number 5. And the previous 4 videos are now available as replays, and they cover 4 different topics to help you navigate these current challenging times with the assistance of all our relations: plant people, stone people, animal people, tree people, and so on. It's been, excuse me, really wonderful to hear some feedback that I've gotten from some of you on the benefits that you've experienced. One of those came from Elle, and she said, "We all really appreciate what you're doing." She said, "My dog Sirius has been the most mellow since I got him. Daily Reiki and smudging helps us all." And others of you have said similar things, that reminders or introductions to something that's perhaps new have definitely helped with creating some calm and relaxation and opening the doors for the possibility of growth, spiritually, emotionally, and when we have that place of calm, then of course our immune system is going to be stronger, and of course that's a very important thing right now. So today's focus is going to be more on casual, I guess you could say. Yesterday I had a visit from the West Seattle turkey, who I call Admiral Belvidere. She goes by the West Seattle turkey or Tallulah or a variety of other names that people like to call her. And she's a domestic turkey, for those of you who don't know of her. Her origins are unknown, although it's suspected, because she's a domestic turkey, that she was somebody's turkey and they just let her loose. And she free roams West Seattle, although she's been focusing lately on my neighborhood, which spans a fair amount of area. She gets around. And I actually haven't seen her for 6 months. She was a regular at what I call the Wild Rose Café. And I was so excited yesterday to see her again, to have her show up. She comes to my door for sunflower seeds and nuts. Yesterday I discovered that she was not that fond of blackberries. Seeing her after 6 months was just such a gift. And I didn't just get to see her, she was here intermittently coming in and out of the yard and to my door all day, and then she roosted last night down the street. And I have videos and photos on my Facebook page in case you want to see them, but I will also be pulling together a blog post because she had lots of adventures yesterday, and I managed to document some of them. She's a lot of fun. And I made her acquaintance originally because she was touring around and I really wanted to see her. I really wanted to meet her. So I just kind of put it out there, animal communication wise, and invited her to come, to our neighborhood, because it's a good place for a free roaming turkey to graze, and people do love her. She's totally comfortable now. It's hilarious. You see people, practically in her face with cell phone cameras, and she's blasé. She knows she's a celebrity. She's all good about it. She is capable of defending herself, however, if somebody gets a little too close and personal. And some of the pictures I have show her facing off with one of my rather pushy squirrels. So, why am I talking about her? Well, um, I operate what I again jokingly refer to as the Wild Rose Café, and I call it that because in the morning I serve breakfast to my feathered and furred friends. There's Rogue the crow and his mate, who doesn't have a name as of yet. And there are at least 3 gray squirrels who I haven't managed to sort out. They haven't stood out yet personality wise. Well, there's one who's pushier than others, but he hasn't quite attained the status of secret agent squirrel. More on him later. So I have over by my door, I don't know if I can show you. You can see, right over there, there's a whole pile of canisters, and they contain sunflower seeds and mixed nuts and pumpkin seeds and pecans and just basically kind of whatever I scrounged that I feel that they would like. And so that stood me in good stead when Admiral Belvidere stopped by yesterday, because of course I wasn't expecting her. And she's made it very clear that she prefers the sunflower seeds. But first thing in the morning, it's, the turn of the squirrels and the crows. And Rogue and his mate, they guard the territory. So they don't really let others in. And Rogue has made it very clear to me, because I have these mixed nuts. There's all varieties in there. It's a mixed nuts for wildlife blend. And macadamia nuts, cashews, peanuts, walnuts, and you'd think, that he'd love walnuts. I don't know. I just assume everybody does. Nope. I asked him what his favorite nut was, and he told me that it was cashews. And as an animal communicator, it's really nice to get validation. So, I started giving him cashews first, picking them out of the mixed nut mix for him and offering them first. And then a couple of days later, I just put out the regular mixed nuts and basically stood there like tapping his foot, waiting for his cashews. So he made it very clear that he knew that I knew, and I better produce the goods. So, the birds know who I am. I have a bird feeder. I have 2 bird feeders outside, suit feeder and a regular feeder that's supposedly squirrel proof. That's a whole nother story. And people wonder, it's like, well, how do you create all of these relationships? It's like, well, because I pay attention. I had a feng shui practitioner come and look at my space a number of years ago, not where I am now. And she about had a fit when she saw that my desk, my workspace, faced the outside, the window. And she said, no, you have to turn it around. It must face the inside of your space, because then you're focused, on your workspace, on your work. And I said, but my work is connection with nature and animals and all my relations. That's turning my back on them. And I said, I'm sorry. I get, that this is a feng shui practice. I said, I can't do that. I just can't. Is there any way that, we can work around this? So she basically said, well, we can put a mirror on your desk so that then you're looking at your space. So all these many years later, I still have a mirror on my desk for that reason, because where I'm living now, my space, my desk area, where I sometimes work, I do kind of move around. It's the wonders of having a laptop. But it faces out. it faces outside, and over there is where the bird feeders are, and over there is where the hummingbird feeder is. So in essence, I connect every day, literally and visually, with all my neighbors, all my relations that are non-human. And that's important. And that's an important part of why they know who I am. They see me, I see them. Plus I do offer them snacks. It's always nice to come bearing, gifts. But, I also greet them when I go out. I don't care what people think. I go out and I say good morning to the birds. Good morning to the squirrels. Good morning to Rogue and his mate. And yesterday, Admiral Belvidere several times. So I treat them as equals. That's another important part of relationship. It's not condescending, I guess, and I'm not their caretaker. I'm here to offer help if they should need it. They know they can come for Reiki or other kinds of support. But they're not my kids, they're my neighbors. They have their own lives, their own families, their own interests. We overlap. I don't take them for granted, and I don't talk down to them. So why am I, talking about all this? Well, because at this time that we're all staying home and we're missing, a lot of you talk about missing nature, not being able to go to your favorite places. Well, this is an opportunity to make stronger connections with all your relations where you are. It's very important to connect with the land and with your fellow beings who see you come and go all the time. They know who you are. They recognize you. Where I used to live was on the second floor, and I didn't have a way to set up a bird feeder on the second floor, so I had it down on the ground outside in the backyard. And one day I was in the living room getting ready to feed the cats breakfast before I did the rest of my chores. And actually I was getting ready to feed the animals breakfast. I had a dog then at the time, 2. And a sparrow landed on the windowsill. Now, I had 5 cats, so birds don't usually land on the windowsill. And he's looking in the window right at me, and he's like, "The bird feeder is empty." And I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, but I have to go feed the cats first, and the dog. So I'll be out, promise." So I go into the kitchen to begin food preparations. And I swear to you, the same sparrow lands on the windowsill in the kitchen and looks at me and he goes, "The bird feeder is empty." And I was like, "I'm sorry. I have to feed these guys first." So it was very clear, not only did he know who I am and who was filling that bird feeder, but he definitely knew where I lived and how to connect with me. So it's really good for us to return that awareness. And I don't know, it's possible Admiral Belvidere is here right now. I hear people talking about her outside. If she is, I will introduce you all. But, it's very good to remember these connections and to foster them. Just take a moment, every day to either step outside your door or stand in your window and listen, open your heart Let them know you're listening. Let them know and feel that you want to connect with them. You know, they talk about how important nature is to our well-being, that being outside in nature for 20 minutes, you know, benefits us psychologically and physically. Now that's important more than ever, although we're more limited, obviously, in what we can do. But they're out there, right, all around us in urban areas, in the country. You know, see what you can do to connect with them. You don't necessarily have to feed them. It can be enough to just sit and see what they're doing. There's always drama out there. Boy, I have stories. My problem every day is, you know, it's like picking and choosing which stories to share and which ones to just, you know, kind of enjoy for the moment. It's not boring outside, you know, in my garden and in the window. So I think I'm going to keep it short today, but I want to tell you all, you know, one story about a squirrel called Secret Agent Squirrel, who I got to know really well. And he was definitely a very self-assured and self-confident squirrel. No two ways about it. He would come right up to the front door and put his paws on the bottom ledge and basically stare in. Where was I? Where were the nuts? And sometimes I didn't see him because I was doing something else. And then he would get up and he would throw himself at the front picture window, which made a huge bang. And I'd see him sitting on the mailbox, which was right, you know, made a nice little ledge for him to look in the window. So I would, you know, open the door and give him the demanded handout of nuts. And I never, you know, I don't tame the animals. I don't hand feed them. You know, I always place things down. And, you know, but they kind of know, they know your routines. And Secret Agent Squirrel, I called him that because he was so, he was definitely the biggest, baddest squirrel on the block. He was male, and he defended, you know, his territories, and he had a notched ear from getting in one fight. He definitely looked a little battle worn. And I always thought of him as just kind of, you know, on a mission. So I knew him for probably about 3 years before he disappeared. And his last mission, if you will, I was outside. I was lying on my lounge chair, just read a book, enjoying being out in the fresh air and the sunshine. And I heard this commotion in the house. This banging. Now, I have a 14, 15-pound black cat named Night Sky. I knew Manitou was outside, but Night Sky was in the house because he's an indoor-only cat. And between where I was and the interior of the house, there's a porch that's screened in that I use as a catio. So in the summertime when the weather's nice enough, I have the door open between the catio and the inside of the house. And I thought, God, Night Sky, he loved to chase flies, you know, of course, because flies would get in through the, you know, the mesh holes in the catio and then come on into the house. And that was his favorite thing, was running around chasing flies. But the banging got louder. And I thought, you know, I really need to go in and see what he's doing. So I come into the kitchen, and I haven't yet come into the living room, and I see Night Sky basically flying by. And I come into this area where I am now, and it took me a moment to figure out what was going on, because Night Sky was, I saw a blur go by me, and then Night Sky. And I was like, wait, what was that a squirrel? And I was like, And he's, you know, he's in the ficus. He's looking to trying to figure out how to get out of the house. And, you know, my first thought is, how did he get in? And I thought, I don't need to be worrying about that. I need to be worrying about how to get him out. And nice guy is following him and kind of like, he's really interested, but he's not going to go fast enough to actually catch up with him. This was more about the chase than it was about the pounce, thank God. And Secret Agent Squirrel looks at me, and I look at Secret Agent Squirrel, and I was like, okay, we are now going to practice animal communication under stress. So I said, send him the image, you know, the front door, the other side. And I said, okay. And I opened the front door, the storm door. And I said, this way. And thankfully, he got the hint and went out. So, unfortunately, Secret Agent's last mission wasn't successful. He came in because as soon as he got to the other side of the door, I mean, he stopped. He's totally running around the house. And he's like, once he gets outside, he's like, where's the nuts? I was like, you came in looking for nuts? I was like, how did you get in? He's like, through the catio. I was like, oh, geez. You know, I never thought that I'd have to keep squirrels out. I was just trying to keep cats in. So, you know, he knew that I had a store of nuts in here because I produce them every day. So like I said, the animals, they know who you are, you know, what you got going on. And it's a really good exercise in connection these days to start paying attention to them. See what messages they have for you. Maybe it's just to sit quietly for 5 or 10 minutes and just listen. Listen to the songs of the birds as they go about all their spring chores and mating calls and nesting materials. This morning, Rogue showed up for his cashews carrying a bunch of nesting materials, which he put down very carefully in the street, and then picked up his cashews and then picked up his nesting materials and took off. So, you know, see what they got going on. I'd just like to ask, if you guys are interested, you are invited, if you're interested, on Saturday night at 8 p.m. Pacific. I'm going to invite you to my fireside with my cats. And like I said, maybe I'll tell a story, or maybe we'll just sit quietly with the fire. So I thank you all for joining me at this time. And I look forward to hearing your stories about your connections with all your relations where you live. So, goodbye all.